Welcome everyone, it's Shari Carroll for SimonsSaysStamp.com, and I'm here with a mixed media project that I'll be creating using the Tim Holtz Reliquary Dome. I'm also using some paper rose dies, and I'm starting off with the Love Bug Builder Kit and also their abstract trees. I'll be using some alcohol pearl inks, and I'm also using the Tim Holtz DURA Bright black paper to color in. And I'm going to be die cutting this all in one piece, so I've cut my sheet in half and I'll get started with my alcohol inks. I've sped this up a little bit just to show you all the colors that I'll be using and how I'm using them. So I've started off with some blending solution, and I'm also using the Tim Holtz air blower to move those alcohol inks around. Since the Love Bug is a little bit smaller, I want to have some concentrated color in smaller areas. So I'm just adding them as I go, and it's really effective against that black cardstock. When I'm done coloring, you can see that really nice sheen of those alcohol pearl inks on the black. And the next step is to die cut this all in one piece to make it a lot easier. Once I have that die cut, I'll remove all my pieces, and you can see how that color is showing on that bug. To give my card a little more stability, I've also cut some black cardstock of the main pieces, and I'll be using the Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Glue to glue these together. I'm cutting some small pieces of acetate, and these will be for the headlight covers and also for the windshield. And for the headlights, I'm just adding some glue on the front fender on the back side, and then I can place my small piece of acetate right over so it connects with the glue. And now to start the assembly, I'm going to use some glue to glue on part of the hood piece so that it'll sit flat onto the card. And then I'll be using some foam squares on the actual hood piece so that I can have a little bit of dimension. I've cut the bumper and some of the trim that goes around the headlights with some Simon Says Stamp matte silver cardstock, and I'm adding a little bit of glue onto the back of that headlight piece. And then I can put it down in place to finish the headlight. I'll be raising up the front bumpers, and there's some really small areas, so I've just cut some of my foam squares in half to fit around some of those tight areas. And now I can stick this down in place following the outside line of the beetle. And next is the windshield, and I have a piece of acetate cut just to the width of it so that I'll have an easier time of trimming it out. And I'm just going to use a fine line bead of glue, just enough to hold that acetate in place, and once it's dry, I can trim around the top with my scissors. Once the windshield is in place, it's time to put the steering wheel down, and I'm also using a little bit of this craft tacky glue just on the bottom portion of that steering wheel, and I can glue that in place. I've backed the bumper with some black cardstock, and I'm also going to glue this down in place, and it will sit on top of those bumpers, so it will be raised up, resting from bumper to bumper. I've cut the trees using the Simon Says Stamp Rainbow A2 holographic cardstock, and it gives it a really nice shine. And I love the A2 size because I have a nice variation of color that I can choose for these trees. I'm using my hot glue gun, and I am putting down some glue and also some clipped off toothpicks, and this will help me push the car into the cork base of the Reliquary Dome. I've backed my trees with some white cardstock so that they are a little more stable, and again I'm adding some toothpicks to the back of those for the dome. Once I've decided on the placement of everything, I'm adding a dot of the hot glue, and then I can push that toothpick with the car right into that cork. And I've also added the trees, and here's how this is starting to look. Now I'm adding a little bit of grounding with some green moss, and I'm just using my hot glue, placing it onto the cork and pushing that moss right into the glue. And now for some experimentation, I wanted to use the big swirl stencil from Paper Rose and decorate the outside of the dome. I've wrapped the stencil around the front of the dome with some painter's tape, and now I'm just masking off some of those areas that I don't want to cover. And I'll be using the collage medium from Tim Holtz to pounce on through the stencil to create a frosted look. I'm using a domed blending tool foam, and I'm making sure that I'm staying just upright on that stencil to get some really good coverage. And while the collage medium is still wet, I'm going to remove the stencil to reveal my swirly design in frosted glass. And now for some verbiage, I've chose Be Fearless, and this is from the Simon Says Stamp journaling strips, and these are really nice to use in your art journaling and also mixed media, and they just have prompts that you can put together and use. These can be foiled or used on their own, and I really like the black with the white writing. I've added a toothpick to my message, and I'm sticking that right in front of the beetle car, so this will be sitting inside the dome. To finish this off, I'm using a little bit of 1/8 inch red line tape, and I'm adding it to the outside of the dome, and this will help hold my ribbon in place. With the ribbon tacked down, I'm securing this with a bow in the front. I really love how this turned out, and the alcohol inks on that DURA Bright paper really make them shine, especially when you turn it to the light. So here's another shot of how it is with the light hitting it. I really enjoyed trying a different technique using the collage medium onto the glass. I think I'll try this again. It really did give me a frosted glass look. I do have all my supplies listed down below. I hope you enjoyed this, and as always, thanks so much for watching.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.